Alright, so now that we've taken a few looks at what Dehancer can do, I want to show you a little bit on what it's actually doing to the images and walk through some of the parameters here. So here I've taken just a regular grayscale and I dropped Dehancer Pro on here in default mode, and you can see we're really getting a push look into the green and a lot of great film grain texture. So let's walk through what's actually making everything work in this plugin. If I collapse all the parameters here, you can see we got a lot of different ones to choose from. There is an option down here. You can have quality level of fast or high. We have license info, so if you need to enter your license info, you just give that button a click. We also have check profiles here, and it pops up this dialog box, and we'll check with the Dehancer plugin site to see if there's any updates available and download those. That's how you can keep your plugin up to date. And then we have a disable all tools button and start from scratch. And now if we walk through some of the important things, I'm not going to go through every single one. Here we have input, so you can change your color space or choose a camera profile, and then there's some exposure and tint and a few things to dial that in based on your input. First things foremost, we have film, and if I put the scope back up and just take film on and off, we still have the grain here, but we're using Kodak Vision 3250D, and essentially Dehancer really put a lot of time into examining all these styles of film stock. So if you're familiar with any of these, they really do change the look of your image like the film stock would in real life. So let's just pick another one here. Here's a Fujifilm Instax Digital Intermediate. So you can see we're getting quite a bit of a different look here. So you can really dial that in on your film stock. Now what I want to show you besides this film stock would be the film grain. So let's turn the grain on and off, and you can see what that's doing. Now there's quite a few to choose from here, from 8mm up to 65. And then there's a custom option here where you can actually dial in all these parameters here, film type, negative or positive. You can do an analog or a noise blend and change everything about the film grain type right here if you didn't want to use one of their presets. I'm going to go back to 35 ISO 250, and then we'll look at a couple other shots and show you what these are doing. Here I have a city shot. Here's what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like after. So there's a little bit of muting going on, but let's take a look at what this node has on it. For here, I'm using the Vision 3250, so if we turn that on and off, you can see that really mutes the color palette quite a bit, but it really makes the lighting blend. And then I have film grain. I took it off, but we'll turn that back on. If we pay attention to the highway here, maybe zoom in a hair, you can see the difference that is causing really makes it look like a natural film print. Then we have halation. So if I turn that on and off, if we pay attention to these lights here, if we zoom in, you're getting this nice bleed off the lights here. Let me turn that on and off one more time. Very natural looking and really filmic. And then I have bloom. If we turn that on and off, you can see all these brighter spots where, say, the orange lighting happens to be, really makes it pop. So between the film stock, the grain, and halation, and the bloom, it really does look great. Those are probably the most used parameters when I'm starting to adjust a look in this plugin that I've found. Now we do have film damage, film breath, gate weave. All that is kind of mimicking the film look, like if you were watching film. So if we put this overscan on here, you can see we get the perforation markers. We could get gate jitter and all that kind of stuff. So if you're trying to have that look, those options are available for you too. We do have a vignette here. It'll be a little bit harder to see, but if we have this mask enabled, we can change the exposure on it, the size, and the aspect ratio, of course. And this actually integrates into the look versus being over top of it like other vignettes. Of course, you could make a vignette with a layer before your film emulation, but this one's right in here and it actually blends in quite a bit. So if we turn the mask off, and of course we can change the center and Y parameters here if we needed it to be in another spot. We do have a few other things here like your overall blend, the LUT generator. So if you dialed in your LUT, just hit export LUT, and then you could bring that in as a film look to just drop on. I also wanted to show you a couple other shots. Here's another one with a nice filmic look on the surface of the streets here and a blending of the lights. And then I have a feature here that's more of a sci-fi kind of look, very clean. And if we drop Dehancer on here, you can see it's going to go and just make a big drastic change. Now there are some color shifting because of the film stock I chose, but it really goes from just a clean, clear, precise image to more of a stylized filmic look, especially if we look in the background here and just how it blends everything together. All right, so that's Dehancer Pro. If you're interested in getting it, there's a couple ways you can purchase it. There's a monthly subscription, there's an annual and a lifetime. Right now they're giving me a code for 10% off. They also allowed me to have a subscription for a few months in order to play with this plugin and make this video for you guys. Now the great thing that sets Dehancer Pro apart from other film emulators is their research on the film stock. They really go the extra mile to make the film stock look as good as it can or as close as it can to the actual stock. And as you can see by the examples, it really does a nice cinematic look without a lot of work and quite a bit of flexibility. Now, I wish you could save custom things a little bit easier inside the plugin, maybe a preset inside there. Maybe they'll do that in the future. So if you like what you see, head on over to Dehancer through the link below and you can get 10% off on your subscription. I'd like to thank Dehancer for reaching out and allowing me to check out their plugin. Pretty impressed with it, and I'll definitely be looking forward to using it in the future. That's it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this plugin and check it out for yourselves. See you on the next one.